This review is for the Best of WDW Volume 1, which was a book that was crowdfunded on Kickstarter, and it is produced obviously by the people who make WDW magazine, and it's sort of just a best of the photography from the magazine. It's not hardcover, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but it comes in it's a thin sort of box slipcase, which is actually really nice because then it helps protect the book. And then the actual front cover of the book has the trees are sort of embossed. It's really hard to sort of see on the camera, but when you can sort of move it and turn it and see the light reflect off it, the front cover of the book just looks so cool. And on the back of the book it says that Volume 2 is coming in 2016, and since we've obviously past that and it hasn't been released or kickstarted yet, but I did do a bit of digging around the website, and it does look like that is still going to happen, so that's definitely something I'll be interested in keeping an eye out for in the future, because this first volume is absolutely fantastic. I am just such a huge fan of everything Disney does. Of course the movies, but also the parks are just fantastic. I'm actually someone who doesn't really know a ton about the parks. I've got a lot of books on all of the different Disney parks, and I've started steadily going through those and learning more about it, because there are people who just have an insane amount of knowledge and detail when it comes to these parks, which is so great. And this isn't really the sort of book where you're going to learn. There's not really any text. You're not going to learn any sort of facts or trivia about the park. It is just a photo book, and there have been so many wonderful photo books on the Disney parks, and it's sort of like, do we really need another one? But I for one can't get enough photography books on Disneyland. And I already know how cheesy it sounds, but it really is just the most magical place on earth. One thing I especially liked about this book is you'll notice as we're going through, there aren't any people in these photographs, which is nice, because a lot of the official Disney book ones are sort of like promo pics of people sort of on the rides or running around the park looking like they're having the time of their lives, which they probably are. But in this one you'll notice there's no people, and that's because you see most of them are shot at twilight when there aren't as many people around, so they can get sort of these empty streets, and which is first of all good, because it's really great to see these areas of the parks, you know, when they're not flooded with people, but also because they're shooting the photography in the evening and all the lights are lit up everywhere, it looks so great. Just with that sort of dark blue sky and everything all lit up, it just looks so cool. Also, what's really great about this book is that, unlike even a lot of official Disney books, this one is a very large format, and the pictures are printed very large as well, in, you know, very high resolution. Every image in this book is crystal clear. They sometimes do this sort of like almost like fish-eyed warped look to some of the images, which I wasn't really a fan of, but that doesn't happen too much. But beyond those couple of photos, everything else in this book is really huge. You get to see a lot of great detail. And then really the only other sort of minor criticisms might be it could have been good to include labels for the images, because there's no sort of, I mean, the book's divided into two different sections, but there's no actual specific labels for what you're looking at, which certainly isn't a deal breaker, because, you know, the images really do speak for yourselves. But if you're not as familiar with the layout and where everything is, it might be sort of hard to know exactly what you're looking at or where it is in the park. And then the other thing that would have been much nicer is a higher quality materials used to produce the book. It really does have a sort of magazine-y feel, which I guess is to be expected from a self-publishing endeavor. But on the whole, it is absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite Disney books to look at. Such a great representation of such a visually stimulating place. And as anyone who has tried to collect any Disney books will know, once they sell out, they become monstrously expensive. So make sure you get onto this one pronto. you.